Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Top Deck Heroes. We have our hosts tonight, myself, my regular self, Sean O'Brien. We've got Kevin Broberg, the Player of the Year
Hey,
and reigning Team World Champion. And we've got Jesse Cervini, the Poughkeepsie PTC Champion. Good evening,
What up?
gentlemen. So,
hello, hello.
tonight we're doing things kind of a little different. We're doing our year in review. But before that, let's start at the top of the hour with some news. And the big news this week, Jesse, you're the one who brought it to my attention. I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, so if anybody who ventures into the depths of the Jasco forum still, you would realize that somebody posted a small link to the Level Up Expo in Las Vegas, May 12th to the 14th,
Yep.
and UFS Worlds will be occurring there.
That's pretty exciting. So I'm excited about that. I'm a little disappointed on where we found out about it. I remember all three of us went to Level Up Expo last year for the Rochester CCG 2K, and I think the venue was pretty nice for a convention center. Even the food was cheap for a convention center. There weren't long lines in the bathroom, so overall it was a pretty good experience. I'm just a little disappointed that we didn't hear about it from Jasco Games first.
Yeah, I've got to wonder what exactly they're waiting for before they kind of broadcast that the community. Whether there's any details that the press community needs to know about this. If there's a hotel deal, if there's anything related to the convention that's going on for us, we don't know,
Speaking
and we
of
don't know until they tell us.
speaking of hotels, I feel like this is another downgrade for people traveling from out of town for UFS. Previously, if we all remember back in the olden days, we played at the South Point Casino, which I thought was a really, really nice casino. The convention center was attached to the casino, and everything was great. And then I think it was kind of an upgrade when we moved to Otakon, because the casino we were at was on the strip, but we didn't have the privacy or the exclusiveness of the South Point convention. We were the only show. And I'm sure you guys remember from last year, this convention's not easy to get to. It's at the Cashman Center, which is a significant distance from Las Vegas Boulevard, where the modern strip is. And it's not even that close to Fremont Street, where
Yeah, it's
there's
not
another
really
bank
a
of
walking
casinos.
distance from Fremont Street, although it's a pretty short drive, I think, right? Like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's only like a 5 or 10 minute drive. The thing is, in May, walking distance is much shorter in Las Vegas when temperatures are routinely over 100 degrees.
Yeah, I mean there can even be cases like the walk from your car to the convention center can be, taxing.
Especially for us fat boys from upstate New York. I mean, right now we've got our winter weight on
Right.
because it's bitterly cold out.
So I think it's actually there's an interesting point of comparing it to the other venues. I think it's clearly worse than the locations literally inside a hotel at Planet Hollywood, at the South Point, at the Atlanta. I can't remember what the
Holiday
hotel
Inn.
name was. The Holiday Inn, yeah. Although I think it's probably an upgrade compared to Gen Con in terms of kind of like price to enter, although less of a destination by a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah, we got to take the good with the bad in this. I mean, the good is it last year Level Up I think was overall a very well run convention.
Yeah.
We got some great exposure when we were able to have our finals for the 2K on a live stream with
Mhm.
so that was pretty good. We got free energy drinks from the energy drink company who came along and said, "Hey, if you let us take your pictures with our drinks, we'll give you free drinks," which
Yep.
seems really good to me. So, I mean, that's the good of it. I mean, and it's good exposure for UFS because the convention was big last year. It was only 2 days. This year it's a 3 day convention, so it must have grown significantly.
Mhm.
And the list of voice actors coming, I think, so far looks pretty impressive. So the convention itself can be a destination for if you want to do convention shit. If you want
Yeah,
your
definitely.
Las Vegas trip to be a Las Vegas shit trip, not so much this time. The other thing I noticed, and I don't know if you guys did,
Yeah.
is the start time for our events is very late. I noticed that signups begin at 11 a.m., which, knowing the pace that our tournaments typically go at, especially if they want to do the first round of elimination, especially for the singles event, it could be a late night.
Yep. I think they're giving us the same hall access coverage. If they do the same setup for Jasco they got last year, like they would give us until I think 11. Like to complete, like we have to be out by 11, I think.
Yeah, it says on their website, it says the exhibit hall is open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., but the panel and gaming room hours go until 11 o'clock.
So
p.m.
that might indicate that we may be on the other side of the wall this year where the panels and gaming area was, as opposed to last year when we were in the vendor area with the silly bouncy house.
To be honest, I wouldn't hate having an 8-hour day, although it's a little awkward that it's a hard 8 hours if it cuts off at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Although it would give a little bit of time to go out and make sure we get food and have adequate time to go. There would definitely be plenty of time to sleep and hit the casinos a little bit if it's the strict 11 to 7 kind of thing.
I mean, I gotta hit the Bacchanal. I gotta hit that again.
Oh my god! I forgot about the food. Oh my god!
See, it's not the Bacchanal that does it for me anymore, guys. I've moved on. It's Manta Ramen.
Oh, I know.
I dream about that ramen bar at least once a week.
Like, I think we're getting off the plane and we're going there. Like, because we're gonna get in so early. Like, yeah, they open for lunch. We're there.
Dude, it's such a good recovery after a long day of travel. Drink.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's bring it back in and we can start our year in review. So tonight's show features kind of a different structure. We're going to go back through the headlines of 2016. I actually scoured all of our old production notes and went back and seen, the kinds of things that were happening. I picked out the pertinent headlines, and I think we're going to get right into it. We're going to do 1 month's worth of headlines. We'll stop for a chance for the host to reflect, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, gentlemen?
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start back in January of 2016, and boy, does this feel so long ago. We had the World Championship at the Planet Hollywood Casino at Otakon last year. Garrett Brett won his second consecutive World Championship for singles, playing Jiffany Jamber. Off of the air symbol.
His favorite character from his favorite license.
The team champions was Team Canadian Heel Turn, featuring Devin Bernier playing Psyche, Kevin Broberg playing the 18-1 Athena, and Matthew Clarkus Turner playing Clark. And I think actually the most exciting thing to come out of that month, other than the largest world championship ever, was the Player of the Year. That competition was announced during Worlds, which, Kevin, you went on to win. And, they rolled out some new floor rules. So I think, overall, that was a pretty good month. Do you guys even remember back that far?
I remember staying up till 3 a.m. Eastern time watching the finals on stream.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember trying to watch that and passing out instead. I was pretty exhausted. I was beat. I was exhausted that day.
Mm-hmm.
It was an emotional roller coaster weekend. It was really good. And it was a really exciting time. We had Player of the Year was an awesome idea. I love that idea. To this day, I mean, not at all. I mean, I hope it's not colored too much by the fact I won it. I think it's great independently of any results. And obviously winning another team's card is really great too.
Now, that championship wasn't without issues. The tournament software bugged out during the singles tournament, and it took several hours to sort out the correct scores and strength of schedule. And then we did have our first disqualification at this event. When a player accidentally or unpurposely, I mean, you never know with these things, submitted a false match slip. So, not everything's perfect, but I think overall it was a great championship. And January, I think, was a really good start for Jasco Games. And what I didn't mention here on the schedule, if I remember correctly, Mega Man the board game also came out that month.
think it did.
So that was kind of an upside as well. Kevin Berberg, why don't you talk about February?
All right, February was a bit of a less action-packed month. Pretty much, we had a PTC out in Lubbock, Texas, and the Omaha crew came down in force and took down first place. Mason Johnson in his first PTC win of the year, the first of more than one, with I think it was Fire Clark back then.
It's Fire Clark.
It was really cool. Clark isn't a character. He's a powerful character, but 2 events in 2 months. That's unusual for anybody, and it's a deck.
If I remember correctly, they also did a February State of the Game that announced the World of Indies set that month.
Yes.
Which would not come out for a while.
Ooh, Indians. I remember the story of Indians now. Yeah. We'll talk about that.
Jesse, tell us about March.
All right. In March, we had the first of the Throwdown Hoetowns this year, Rob Snyder winning with Life Gutsman at that event. And then the second PTC of the month in Little Rock, Arkansas, Dave Wagner took it down with Fire Pharaoh Man.
Ooh, Fire Pharaoh Man.
So I think this was the event that was this the event that Church showed up at with Kim, I'm pretty sure?
No.
Was that later?
That was in December of last year. He showed up to the event in Tennessee and won.
That's it. Okay.
The Church just decided, I'm going to go to this PTC and just take people down.
That was good. That's like my favorite story that I've heard in the last year, although it isn't a story from last year. Damn it.
Yeah, March overall was another quiet month, and you remember at this point we had been without a set for 8 months since July.
Yep.
So things were kind of in a lull. We moved into April, and a couple headlines from April: the Las Vegas PTC was won by Ryan McClain playing Alice. That felt like I remember for me that was kind of out of nowhere kind of win.
Stale metagame, guys. Here's Alice for you. Did you see that one coming?
Well, when the format doesn't change for 9 months, it makes it a lot easier to predict what people are going to play.
Yep.
Omaha had their first PTC of the year. Chris Nixon winning with Metal Man. Back when DeForester and Tomiyose were still legal. And kind of on the downside, local OP support ended in April of this year. So after your April tournaments, there was no further organized play support for your local events.
I think this was that Omaha PTC was the one we watched and watched streaming on Ustream in your living room, right, Sean?
Oh yeah, we had to stop the tournament because we noticed an illegal play.
Yeah, was it? I think they reversed the safe move.
Play.
What was that, Kevin?
Was it? What was the play? Do you remember? Was it a reversed safe move? Or?
I think a reversal was played to a safe move. SpaghettiOs. Alrighty, let's talk about May. Kevin Broberg, it's your turn again.
All right, so May, there had been a variety of previews and spoilers and different iterations and different formats of the World of Indians cards, and in May we finally exposed them to the light of public. We finally got to open them. I finally got to play with them, and we had the second Rochester CCG 2K. Perfectly situated so that you could buy your cards at a major tournament where they would not be legal, and had, we had a show. We'll talk about how the showing was, but it wasn't great. And also on day 0 of the set, there was a banning. A world lost time was deemed to be unacceptable out of the gate.
It didn't make sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the card was too good. If the card did what we logistically expected it to do, it would have been banned. I mean,
see, I never even got a chance to think about playing into Forester Athena. That deck was so fun.
Who won the 2K, Kevin Broberg?
Oh yeah, sorry. So the 2K was won by Mr. Raptor, or How to Train Your Raptor himself, Chris Pratt, playing his deck, Lord Raptor. He had top forward worlds with it, and he got second place at that Vegas PTC. Now he finally won something with it. Strong player there.
Yeah, I think overall, and I'm gonna toot my horn a little bit. It was really good. Having the finals between Miles playing Terry and Chris playing Lord Raptor on the fancy schmancy stream. We had Garrett Brett doing commentary, and it was very professional setup, and it was very exciting. I'm glad we were able to make that happen.
Yeah, actually, I think that's a straight up milestone. I think that might be the first time we've had commentated or live commentary on a UFS stream in history.
Very, very exciting. Jesse, tell us about June.
In June, we had the Rochester PTC. And if I remember correctly, was it before or after our event was the World of Indians rule changes where they designated the attachment zone could be targeted? Was that before or after our event?
I think that was after.
Yeah, I think that happened afterwards.
Yeah, it was. But the PTC was won by Mr. Jeffrey Kahn, beating Kevin Broberg in the finals.
Easy money.
That was oh my god. I'm never gonna stop saying that out of giggles either. Like, I'm seeing yell easy money lose. It'll be awesome. It's always great. I love it.
Yeah. So the Rochester PTC was a little scary. We thought we weren't going to make the minimum required for the plane ticket. And then we had the surprise roll-up of Miles Tyler, Danielle Tyler, and AJ Murray. That was a surprise roll-up. And we got to exactly what we needed.
AJ Murray out of nowhere. Yeah, we also had Mark Wisniewski with a 5-0 Swiss run as Natali before getting Swiss champ cursed straight out of the tournament by Ben Zrunica.
Yeah. And then that event we had Justin Clark was diversified with 4-1 Natali after losing the mirror.
Yep.
Hometown
hero.
I went 0-5. I was 0-5 and out the door.
What did you even play for that?
I played water. I played water Raiden. I did it because everybody was playing the hot decks. And I didn't want to be the fourth Natali that would have been playing in that event. And I didn't want to be the second Ryu. So I'm just like, I'm going to play Raiden. Let's just go with it. It didn't have a good day, but I had a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think one of the big news stories that kind of slipped in here was if you're deep in the minutia of competitive deck building, was the Rikuo debate around assassination attempt.
Oh, yeah.
Out of your card pool, and how that got ultimately diffused by just judicial.
That was what I was supposed to play because Jeff was like, "Well, I'm just gonna keep playing Ryu," and I'm like, "Man, that was my plan, and it's not there anymore."
Yeah, so just to fill in the background for any streamers, any viewers who weren't around back then, so Rikuo has a response that lets you discard a momentum, and if you
as cost.
As a cost, yeah, and you get +4 damage for your rage attack after you play one. And if you discarded a slam attack as the momentum, you add it to your hand. Assassination attempt is a slam attack, which lets you pay momentum costs for using it from your card pool. But it was ruled that Rikuo's specific phrasing is that the discarded momentum was a slam, and you're not discarding momentum, you're discarding something else. So
but luckily, 3 months later, it got the card it needed.
Rikuo would have his time to shine.
You could say he took a nose dive.
I could.
I hope you're proud of that one, Sean.
I am. July. Whose turn is it to talk about July? I think it's Jesse's.
Sean.
Oh, it's back to me?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Okay, so in July, at the very beginning of the month, we had the Atlanta PTC, the largest PTC on record. Kevin Broberg scrubbed one with Felicia. Derp, build a new deck.
God, that tournament was so thrilling. I played 2 mirror matches. They were both so tight. I got booty bopped in Swiss, and then played the same guy in the finals, and immediately lost the first game, and then came back. Oh, it was hype.
Yeah, you had to play Hot Rod. He was playing La Bamba.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good event. We had it. The second day was hosted at Piglet's house, where we did the King of the Hill, and we overall had a really good time. Very sad event happened in July. Nathan Pruitt, the brand manager, left Jasco Games, and as a person who purchases product from Jasco Games, he is sorely missed.
What is Nathan up to now? Everybody know?
I think he's doing his own thing, and I'm sure if he does everything else in his life as successfully as he did at Jasco Games, he's probably making millions.
Probably is.
Because, that man could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. He's just really, really good at what he does.
I remember the story you told me where he walked into a store with a product to sell.
Hi, I'm from Texas.
I'm from Texas. You don't understand.
Oh, that's Nathan Pruitt for you. And then, kind of a late month highlight was the exhibition match between Chris Pratt playing his Lord Raptor deck. He defeated Jason Horonsky playing some sort of Death Robert deck. And if I remember correctly, it was not a terribly close match.
No.
The way I talk about the match, the way I think about that match is it was close to being close.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a weird thing to say, but I could explain it at length, and I might actually write an article about it.
Ooh, that's exciting. Alrighty, Kevin Broberg, tell us about the month of August, a very sexy month this year.
Yeah, so August we had an exciting time. Once again, we had a set release. So I guess if we had set releases every 3 months, that lines up very well for me getting to talk about set releases. We had Battle for Power, the first booster set release in quite a long time. It had some highlights and some lowlights, really. There had been some preview cards released at the World Championship, just of various rares from the set. And they misled us in 2 ways. One of them was that the preview cards were not foiled, and actually every rare or ultra rare in the set was foiled. And also, some of the cards got changed, including Gyro Man, who went from being a fan favorite, exciting, people were talking about how they were going to have to ban him because he was overpowered, to the worst character we've seen printed in some time, I think. We also had Napalm Man, who was devastatingly powerful and really did horrible things to the format. And also, after Battle for Power release, the kind of concurrently with the release, just immediately after, we had another PTC where Battle for Power was not legal at, and coincidentally, I don't know, we had a couple people turn out from Buffalo, a couple people turn out from Maryland. Rochester sent down like 6 of us, I think, and there were a total of 14 people, despite all those out of towners. And yeah, no plane ticket got given out. And they also canceled a PTC in Abilene that month. So, banner month for sales records, I'm sure, for just having a booster set to finally sell and having singles, but some other less great things too.
Yeah, not having Battle for Power be legal for the Amsterdam PTC, I think had a significant effect on the event. It was fine and dandy that there were going to be cards to purchase there and cards from the new set in your prize kit. But people have been playing up until that point. Literally, the format had not changed since May, when World of Indians came out, and the format, was stale, and people weren't that excited about Indians. They were excited about Battle for Power, and then they couldn't use it.
Yeah, and at the very, very least we can say is that if you'd had the set be legal. And I'm not saying it should have been legal with the way the timing worked out. I'm just saying that if it were legal, you'd have a lot more people who were excited to show up and test their mettle in a fresh format and to get to brew a whole new deck by themselves, without having to worry about what's already out there the same way.
There would have been a lot of box shredding that morning.
I bet.
That event. That's what there would have been.
Yeah, the ideal case is that the set released previously, but well before the event had been, I can't recall if they slipped the release date on this one or how much. But
when they announced it, they gave us a date, and it was the day before the event. And they gave it back in early July, and we're just we had to the argument went back and forth. Is this going to be legal or not? Because the year before in Rochester, Darkstalkers officially released the day before our PTC, no issues.
Mm-hmm.
The set just got released.
I think
not a lot of people. A couple people made a few card changes, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think Jasco took a much more stern direction this year about legality and what cards should and shouldn't be played at their events. 2015, I remember, was kind of a loosey-goosey kind of year, where people could decide whether or not the set would be legal if it was really close. I know for
Yeah.
Rochester, we decided to make the set legal, and then this year it was, very strict on release schedule and making sure people had a fair shake.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so Jesse, tell us about September.
Oof, September. Kind of a interesting month there. We had New Orleans PDC got announced and canceled, to be later replaced by next month with the month after with the Fremont PTC. Another one in the Omaha general area. They made the big decision to ban DeForester and Tamayose. DeForester under obviously this card is doing too much, and Tamayose with the what was the exact words?
Oh, jeez.
It didn't.
Same reason. Yeah, they also.
Well, all
they
isn't
chalked
supposed
it
to
up
give free foundations like that.
They chalked it up to Tamayose got banned because of resource symbol non-conformity. So like the idea that the good symbol should be on every card that gets free foundations like this. So you see that with Vincent Gray now, for example, or Zoe, who builds fast foundations. Those have the good symbol. That's what it does.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I know I'm gonna butt myself in here. Tamayose, I felt like really became a necessity to ban due to the changing of how the attachment zone worked, where what's her face had the best Tamayoses ever because by turn 2 she always had 2 assets.
Yeah, Runica has a first form, which after the attachment zone changes becomes, add an asset to your staging area and also slow down your opponent's game plan. And so you're very likely to get Tamayoses online. You're very likely to get Karmic Dominance going pretty big. Why don't you tell us about the PTC before we completely?
Yeah, let's get to that.
That was a pretty cool PTC.
That PTC, the Michigan PTC was the first big event for Battle for Power. And we kind of learned a little bit about what was going to be going on towards Worlds because, Worlds was coming up very soon after. U.S. Nationals. Ugh.
Yep, you're right.
I played Iceman, and I top 8'd with Iceman. I had no complaints. It was a fun event. That was won by Mason Johnson playing Kim.
Kick.
And we did see in the finals the death build of Napalm Man that had made some rounds, on the forums, on media, or whatever. Very aggressive, very playing lots of kind of. I think for me at least, I feel like the build that people talked about a lot was kind of this Hakeshu of Death Infinite deck, and that one's kind of off on a crazy tangent compared to what was actually winning events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't Chris Pratt come in second place after flying in from Las Vegas for that PTC, visiting family?
He flew in to visit family. Yep.
Yeah, that was a very good event. I showed up I played Athena because I wanted to prove that she could smash through the glass ceiling of not having Scorch Wheel, and I was wrong. Jasco Games, keeping women oppressed.
But also, neither of the Turbo Man decks. Like
I topped.
You topped the Turbo Man deck. But
Slam was 3-2.
Yeah. We also got to see a preview of an I guess you could call it an unpolished version of the Filbert Jiffany Jamber deck at that event too.
That's right. Yeah, the Tengu Dive Jiffany Jamber got 9th place.
Yep.
Well, let's get into the October headlines and talk about Phil Birch, who went on to win the United States National Championship with my favorite character from my favorite license, Jiffany Jamber.
Mm-hmm.
This time off of Life, using Tengu Dive Scorch Wheel? Is that right?
Just Tengu Dive, actually.
Just Tengu
It was
Dive.
Tengu Dive. And it's Tengu Dive Shiranui no Mai, the other one-check Tornado Hold, and then Pharaoh Shot, I think. Pharaoh Shot and Zing also, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So just prove that, having an
back.
820 with no symbols, I think, is just better than anything else. And things like that were dealt with a little later on. Team champions, forget their team name. Actually, Caught Rod Handed. Rodney played Rikuo. Alex Marco showed up with Turbo Man, and Clint Badger with Kim. Some sour
Always
grapes.
a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Some sour grapes this month. Blood Omen was initially supposed to release late October. Decision was made to push it back to an unspecified time, and so Blood Omen did not release on time due to those changes. At the end of the month was the Fremont PTC that replaced the previously canceled New Orleans PTC. A little bit of drama there with some folks getting disqualified. At the end, after all the smoke cleared, Miles Tyler won with Terry Bogard. So congratulations to him. And
Asterisk.
Yeah, you're just not going to let that go. I was just going to keep talking through it.
Nope. Asterisk.
Okay.
But it was the whole event though had a lot of issues between what happened with Bill Birch, who was 5-0, and his deck check, completely kicked him out of top cuts, and then the same thing should have happened for Mason. It's just a lot of send down. Looks like the event had some shaky situations, but either way, he does have it on his belt, and it actually, those 5 points made for the player of the years for the last 2 months to actually be enjoyable. Where you had those guys, him and Kevin, were on the grind from that point forward.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the AFC West this year, where there's somebody who's favored and out in front, but there's a team that could still come back and take it from you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Kevin Broberg, talk to us about November.
Oh, man. So November started with a bang at the Rockford PTC I was going to say in Michigan, Jesus, in Illinois. So we had the first place winner, anything but a bang, the slowest deck in the format, second slowest deck, I'm not sure actually. One of the slowest decks in Dimitri in the champion seat, first place. Actually, the first major that Dimitri had won, and also the first major that our friend Slam Mark Wisniewski had ever won. So 2 great milestones there. But in second place, the first deck without foundations whatsoever to perform well, rattled off 3 wins, 2 intentional draws, followed by 2 wins in top cuts to get second place on the Jeremy Ray heel turn strategy with the mature deck. Then the next weekend, I think, actually consecutive
2
weekends.
weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, okay, that's more reasonable. We went down to Poughkeepsie, New York, and our co-host right here, Jesse Zervini, took down the second Poughkeepsie event with the same mature deck. We had an announcement of the St. Louis 1K. St. Louis 1K?
Louis. It's St. Louis. We ain't French. We don't speak frog here.
Louis.
Shut up.
Anyway.
Stop singing.
All right. We had the UK National Championships, which were actually preceded. I think the bands happened.
The bands happened the Monday, and the Monday after that. They happened the weekend of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and then the following weekend after the bands was UK Nationals.
So I know Mature got banned before UK Nationals, and she got banned separately than everyone else, I think, right?
Yes, but Mature got banned at the Kim, Napalm Man, Summer Heat, and Jiffy Jambers happened at the start of the month.
Yeah.
Before Rockford.
Yeah,
and then Mature got banned before UK Nats.
Now, gentlemen, Jiffany Jamber was not banned. She rotated.
She was rotated.
It's an important note, yes. We had, before the Rockford event, people didn't know what was coming. We had just lost 2 of the premier aggro decks, as well as kind of the cornerstone of every other deck in the format. If you weren't playing some weird combo or super aggressive plan, you were probably banking on Summer Heat to smooth over your fair game plan. And now everyone had to start from scratch, really, except for Jeremy Ray, who had the Mature in his pocket, apparently. But then she got axed to save the UK Nationals, and the UK Nationals was won by another deck that is not legal today. And 2 Natali, the old Dragon Flare special, playing some pretty sweet cards. And we have a new UK national champion. Actually, one of the guys who traveled to U.S. Nationals only weeks prior and picked up some tips from the Atlanta guys, I guess.
Now, that event was not without a little bit of scandal, though. If you reviewed the deck lists, there were cards available to the UK in teams that were not legal yet. In Lily in a Carriage and...
Race Against Time and Party Smasher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the Grim and Wonderland promos that had come out at U.S. Nationals, and I guess were given away as promotional cards at that event, too.
Which still aren't legal, just so everybody knows.
They are legal.
I thought they didn't become legal
till 1-1. No one knows if
they're
they're legal.
The information I have is they became legal when Blood Omen released.
They're definitely legal as of January 1st. That's the latest date I've ever seen anyone say it. And, yeah. You can play with them this weekend. It's fine.
No one cares.
No one cares.
Okay, November, I think, had a lot of stuff happen with the bans at the beginning of the month. Took cards out of the format that had become staples at this point that were known winners. We knew that Kim was a winner, Chicken Dinner. We knew that Summer Heat was in pretty much every deck that could run it. Napalm Man, made the tournament scene kind of unpleasant because he was just going to burn you for 2 until you were dead. And then Jiffany Jamber, just like we always said, 8 hand size is better than abilities.
Yeah, I feel like really these bans, they cut out. They didn't say, well, there's one dominant strategy in Standard. It's just that if you're playing, it's too hard to get into the game. It's too hard to build a deck that can deal with the relentless, ridiculous aggression from Napalm Man and later from Mature. It's too hard to. I don't know why we banned Kim. To be honest, I can't offer a coherent reason. He's not that good.
He's super annoying.
Yeah, he's better than bad decks. I'll give you that.
I don't. That's actually the only ban that I'm like. I just kind of accepted him in the format. He was the combo deck of UFS the best way you can describe it, and I kind of just accepted him. He's gonna be there. You should know about that deck. If you're not aware of that deck, you're not understanding UFS competitive play.
Yeah, and I hate talking about bans, so I don't know why I brought up the bans. But the one thing that the one really exciting thing in November was the Player of the Year race was, I believe, 6 points of difference between Miles Tyler and I. Mm-hmm. And Miles showed up. That was after the Rockford event where I had finished I think, in 3rd place, and then he finished outside of Top Cuts. Mm-hmm. And then the Poughkeepsie PTC, he came all the way down to New York to compete for Player of the Year, and we finished tied 3rd and 4th with a 4-1 record in Swiss, so exactly equal points.
Yeah, that was a wash for you guys.
And that's that's never supposed to happen. It's supposed to be. It's crazy that it came down to exactly equal points, exactly equal standings.
Jesse Cervina, take us home in December.
Month of December. It's been interesting. Kevin Broberg locked up Player of the Year, edging out Miles Tyler by attending the Reno PTC and winning it with Ryu.
Broken character.
And this set, called Blood Omen, finally released.
Nice prop.
Hey, I think
nice little here's my my deck building ultra rare pile. Yeah.
I've got Blood Omen ultra rares on my desk too. Boom, White House.
I put most of my Blood Omen ultra rares away, but I've got all these white border cards that I don't think are worth anything anymore.
Ayo. They're worth something in our hearts.
Are they Death Valley faceplants?
No, I've got some white revokes, which those are actually hard to come by.
Those are actually hard to come by. Those were only given out at Worlds.
Some white silences.
Hey, Sean, I want to buy one of those white revokes. We only have 3.
Okay. Oh, and the white Natalis.
Excellent.
So,
I forget that Natalia is legal. Gotta remember that.
Yeah, don't forget, because
cool.
she wasn't re-released, in the set. She just kind of snuck in with that Tri-Swords watermark on that white border guy. So, yeah, I mean, Blood Omen came out overall, I think the set has been very well received. I know we're still kind of shaking down from it because it was a very large set, and we're not sure what's good yet. There's no majors on the horizon, so on the red horizon, so we don't know what's going on.
All I can tell you is a lot of certain cards are sold out everywhere, because either like Legendary Wolf sold out almost every ultra rare because they opened just enough and that did that much.
People went nanners.
Yeah, you're more or less you're sold out of a lot of ultra rares in the set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then one other site is like it's slim pickings.
Yeah,
Like,
then you got to pay for shipping from Canada. Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see. We had an exciting announcement this month about the Midwest Championship Series. They're going to do a tight 4-month schedule with an event each month, running their own format actually with no King of Fighters, just chopping 3 sets off of standard and seeing where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll get our first glimpse of competitive Blood Omen then. I definitely think that you see activity on kind of hobbies like this kind of get depressed during the holidays a little bit as people have family commitments and whatever else is going on in their lives.
All right, gentlemen, it's time. We decided we are going to give Jasco Games a report card. We're going to grade them in 3 areas. We're going to grade them in card design. We're going to grade them in organized play. And we're going to grade them in production, execution, and miscellaneous, all kind of lumped together. So, please remember at the start of the grading that the opinions expressed here are opinions. They do not represent Rochester CCG, and they do not. You know what I'm trying to say here. So we're gonna be
a little harsh, possibly.
So we're going to start with card design. I gave Jasco Games a B+ this year in card design, which is interesting because I think I was the least harsh in this category. We had my thoughts on the B+ is that World of Indies was a flop to start the year. 2/3 of the cards in that set aren't very good. I remember the deck with the blind lady. What's her name? No one's ever played her, so I don't know what her name
Sherry,
is.
I played her in Drunk Turbo. That format, Team Turbo Sealed, guys, it is the best. And you can drink.
The deck with Sherry and the person opposite them, that deck was a hot mess. Huh?
Wasn't that Kadaf?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man, that deck's got, 4 staples.
It's got 4 staples, but that deck is very, almost impossible to play out of the box. Because...
It's technically demanding. I'll give you that.
Kadath stuff and Sherry stuff really just don't mix together. I think the other 3 starter decks were much better, and so I didn't think the World of Indies set was very good. So that kind of turned me off. Battle for Power received high praise. Blood Omen received high praise. And we didn't release any broken promos this year because we didn't release any promos after April. So I'm going to go with B+ for design. Who wants to go next?
All right. Jesse, you want to jump in?
Okay. Card design, B-. I kind of I brought myself down. I've had a few weeks off from UFS. I kind of just took a moment and stepped back from the game and thought about this game from the past year. I think there's I think this year shows that there's some serious checks and balances in design, and also may fall into also playtesting as well. There was cards that were released dead on arrival that needed day 1 erratas. It's so not. I don't like having to see that when it's kind of those things. I also was looking at Blood Omen. I don't believe the most recent printing changes for Templar and Good and Evil were supposed to happen. I think that how Jason and Shane responded when they were especially with Templar, when they were pointed to it at Nationals, that Breaker was supposed to still be on that card.
I played Templar the other day in a 6-hander, and the card felt really, really poopy without Breaker. I mean, it was still a good card, but compared to having Breaker, it did not feel like I would have rather had a dodge in my hand.
Yeah, there's some interesting findings in psychology that people are like like if you take something away from someone, they get much more upset about it than they would be if they didn't have it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so like taking things away from people really sucks when you're like design if you're in a position of design. You want to stay away from you want to try not to take things away from people as much as you can.
So I kind of graded harshly. I gave a B-. Did I like a lot of the things that we're attempting to do with UFS? Yes. And I think we're in that. I think next year is going to be that year where they have to really show me that they can do design and they can do it on their own terms. Like I need something. I need another set from Jasco design team to really make a decision on where things are going.
All right, Kevin Broberg.
All right. Yeah, so I gave them a B, ultimately. I think that's... I'm not sure if I think this is a harsh grade looking back on it. I thought that Battle for Power and Blood Omen were both over... there were a lot of things I liked in both of those sets. They had a lot of good designs, a lot of cards that kind of used some of the inherent balancing factors. I'm really impressed after everyone's initial impressions of Turbo Man, for an example, out of Battle for Power. And also getting completely massacred by Turbo Man at Nationals once, by how not good he has proven to be. And in Battle for Power, like in the previews, it was a similar kind of situation where I thought the sky was going to fall, and then as things shook out, as the rest of the set came out, it went from, oh god, everything is going to just be like rivers of blood flowing in the streets, to, well, this is actually pretty fairly balanced. Like that, we saw the most frightening things already, and the thing I'm most worried about is Sturmwaffle. But so that's a positive. That's a big positive looking back on the year. Indians not so much. The day one bans or the day zero erratas and bans, as well as just the need for the several bans, as well as the oops, we missed mature like 2 weeks after we just made another banning. That's some more points off. And I was just talking about, it sucks to take things away from people. Whoever, whatever process led them to preview cards like Gyro Man and Hikaru in multiple forms. We saw, I think, 3 or 4 iterations of Hikaru, some of which I think actually weren't even sent out from Jasco. It was actually from the level 99 designer who kind of helped flavor the theme and everything. I think
we got a previewed version of Hikaru that was an 8/18, and he gave stun 2 for his fire move.
Yeah,
and then he got knocked down to 17 and got moved to stun 1.
Yeah, he got nerfed. He got nerfed several times in the public eye, and that really that sucks. And also, Gyro Man went from the character everyone was so pumped to build to a card that someone posted a deck list that said it won a local, and we were like pumping our fists that holy shit, someone won with Gyro Man. That's insane. So those were disappointments, and I docked them. They went down to a B, which is a solid grade. I'm happy with a B. That's a 3-point GPA average. They tell me that's all you need. Like, that's the highest GPA that people will really cut off for, at least in computer science. No one will say you need a 3.2 to work here, but they'll say you need a 3 to work here. So it's a fine grade, and back on the positive end, I thought that there were a ton of fun and interesting decks throughout the format. You saw combo, control, and aggro decks in almost every top 8, actually, somehow. And my personal highlights for those include the Felicia deck that I think is an insane blast to play. There's so much to do with that deck. The Fire Aggro Shield Ram deck that plays the most fair UFS I've ever played. I took a game off Mature both times I played her as a 7-hand size, even with my crazy hate card Magijin in my deck, whatever. And then the variety of bullshit 6-hand size combo-y decks like Bomb Man, Rikuo,
Mature.
Mature. Yeah. All there were probably 10 or 15 of those throughout. I mean, Kim goes in there, although Kim's not a combo deck. He's a play the cards that we gave you deck. That's not really a combo deck, but there were a lot of fun things to like in the format in the game this year, and I wouldn't have traveled to all the events that I did if I wasn't having fun. So give him a B. B's solid.
All right, kids. The second section we graded Jasco games on is organized play. This time, I'm going to let Kevin Broberg go first.
All right, organized play. I liked organized play this year. I just said I traveled to all the events. I wouldn't have done that if I wasn't happy with the events that we were putting on. I saw, and just to steal some of the thunder from you guys, I kind of see where you're coming from. No, I'm not gonna skip around like that. But I love the idea of player of the year. That's squarely an organized play thing, and organized play having a system like player of the year that's bigger than any one event. It rewards consistent results. It rewards showing up to events and kind of can push a narrative for your players and for your spectators. I think that's incredibly valuable, and that's like right up there with more streaming for what I hope to see next year in 2017. Speaking of which, streaming. This was a banner year for streaming in UFS. We saw the first professionally produced live commentated stream. We saw streaming at most Pro Tours during the top eights. Maybe not most. I don't know. Several Pro Tours. I was sitting there watching some of them in the booth and chat.
Michigan had 2 streams during their event.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, I ultimately gave them a B because I do feel like they could really use. There could be more resources spent from Jasco Games on organized play, and issues like no prize promos getting sent out. That's an organized play failure. That's where we're not making it easier for people like Chris Smith, like local scouts like Sean O'Brien, to help get people out to the store every week just to keep playing the game and to keep the game in our hearts. So I give him a B. Again, a B is solid. I was happy with it, but I think that there's a lot of room for improvement there.
Jesse Savini, tell us how you felt about organized play this last year.
Okay. First of all, we still have no new software. We are still on the Fantasy Flight software as the standard software for UFS. Obviously, no OP since organized play support since April. That kicks in the butt. The fact that our Worlds this past year and our Nationals had no streaming capability, but many of our PTCs run by the community, the events run by the community, had streaming. That's something that I think I don't know. I think the coverage level was very community based the whole year on any event. I think Jasco's. I don't know. I'm being kind of harsh, and I'm gonna probably get a little harsher if this is. I'm a little upset about OP this year. Like, they ran events, they got events to occur, kits went out, good, but OP as itself went nowhere this year. Like, we did was do what any other game does, run tournaments this, but there's no substance to it. We don't have a person who's designated as OP as the organized play manager for this game, and not having that is a big hurt on this game.
So, what grade did you end up giving them?
I gave them a D. You could run great events. You can and have them happen, but it just it's flash in the pan to me when it's the week to week. It's the things the events that we need happening to keep our player bases strong and build a player base with. When you don't have any support to give out, I mean, especially with play groups who don't run an entry fee, they just have people show up to a store, they buy products, so they get the organized play, promos. Those promos aren't coming in. Why run a tournament? And that's a kick in the nuts.
So, I had a really hard time grading Jasco games on organized play this year. There was a lot of upside, I think. We had more PTCs this year that fired than any time in UFS history, almost to the point of detriment. where it, especially for players contending for Player of the Year, unless you have a lot of time off and a lot of resources, it makes it really easy to get shut out of the program. Uh, I think, Kevin, you went to 14 events, and wait, you went to 11 events, and Miles went to 14.
I went to more than 11.
Oh.
I think I had 12 before they chalked up the last two. So I think 14 is right.
Yeah, Miles went to 4 more on top of that than you. So these are people in the community who, to compete for this big prize, and I understand it's not something that you're supposed to be really going out to get unless you're really serious about being the Player of the Year, but attending on average 1.2 major UFS events a month where you're traveling more than 500 miles makes it really hard.
By design, PTCs are not centrally located. They're not geographically concentrated. They're everywhere so that everyone can play in them.
Right. Tournament floor rules coming out at Worlds this year, I think, was a really big deal. Finally having our policies and procedures set in place where, the judges are having to make up as little as possible on the spot, I think was really good. Could use for quite a bit of improvement, though. On the flip side to that, we did disqualify 4 players this year. And I think in all 4 cases, it was not due to any malice or intention. It was just people being careless and bad at accounting. And I don't feel like you should travel 1,400 miles to make an accounting error and not be able to walk away with no prize. Like largest worlds ever. I mean, we had the largest worlds ever. We had the largest PTC ever. So I think for major events, this was a really good year for majors. But like Jesse said, local organized play, I think, really took a back seat. No promos came out since April. And I know as we were getting towards the Battle for Power release, people weren't showing up to our tournaments because we didn't have any new packs to sell. And there was no support. So it's like, well, why should I come to the tournament? And I know Giggles, who has been a mainstay in UFS in Rochester for almost a decade, was like, well, I'm not showing up. There's no point. I have all the all the Rise of the Masters cards. I have all the promos. I'm going to go home and eat for free instead of going out with the guys afterwards. The Rochester 2K was great. We gave out the largest cash prize in history, but it was a failure. The Las Vegas crew begged me to come out, begged me to do a 2K for them, and almost half the tournament was people from out of town. And, there is some stuff that was probably on me for that. Not having diversity may have turned some people off. But, I'd really hoped the community would have turned out and made the biggest prize in UFS for cash a big event. So that was kind of a disappointment. Not having new cards to be available at the tournament, I think, also hurt that quite a bit. And then,
for sure.
I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy, but the process for getting information out about organized play needs to improve. Nationals was not announced until late June this year.
Yep.
For an October event. And at this point, by summer of the year, most people, I mean, the 3 of us have professional full-time jobs. By summer, you pretty much have to have your PTO done for the year. You have to have your PTO schedule more or less figured out. And I think people were unable to make Atlanta because, they decided to attend.
I had to move PTO around. Like I was gonna go to an event I was gonna go to something in August. I had to decide between going to that and I had to take a day. I had to cancel 2 days off to be able to go to Atlanta. I made the decision. I'm happy about it, but in the end, man, I hated making that decision so late in the year.
Yeah, I think, it hurts not to have things in advance so people can make their plans. I know there are people in the community who have to have their PTO off a quarter in advance, and it just makes it really hard. So, I ended up, when I first did the schedule, I was at a C, then I moved up to a C+, but I'm actually going to end with a C-. You pass the class, but it's not enough to transfer credit. Next year, a lot of good things happened, but there's a lot of bad, and a lot of bad is really low-hanging fruit. Announcing your events in a timely manner is low-hanging fruit. There's no schedule for 2017 yet. We found out kind of in a sneaky way when Worlds is going to be. So,
And because of the community, we know there's a PTC in February in Atlanta.
if it's official, we don't even know if it's official yet.
Yeah.
So, and that makes it really hard if there's an event in Atlanta in February that we don't even know if it's real yet. I mean, I believe the Atlanta guys. I don't think they deliberately mislead us.
Yeah.
But if they don't announce until next month, you have 6 weeks to get your time off, your plane tickets, for what has historically been one of the largest PTCs of the year. And not getting OP support out to stores since April is unacceptable. There's no other word for it. That is unacceptable. You know, after the cards came out in April, most of which were cards that were coming out in Blood Omen anyhow, the only promos we saw until October were reprints. You know, the ones that we had at PTCs. You know, we had the White Border, Death Valley Face Plants, the White Border, Silences. But those are all reprints. They didn't give us anything new until Atlanta for National Championship, and those cards aren't legal yet. They aren't available as part of your organized play support. And it's just low-hanging fruit. It's unacceptable. C-.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them. You mentioned we don't know if it's official, if the Atlanta PTC is official yet, and it reminded me of one thing that I think they did absolutely right this year, which was kind of work on their just their normal landing page website and adding an event calendar, which was really useful. I used it once to actually look up the phone number for the Reno site and call them and talk to them before I left to make sure I could find them and what times they open and stuff. And I just checked. It's not updated for the February event yet. So, yeah, low-hanging fruit here. And I absolutely agree with the rest of everything else you guys have said. I hadn't considered kind of how much these PTCs are community-driven versus kind of run from the organized play department. And, yeah.
Alrighty, so kind of on a low note, let's move on to the last part of the Jasco Games report card. Now, this is kind of a combo piece. This is production. That's actually physically manufacturing the items. Execution. That's kind of getting him out to the stores. You know, getting things going, and then anything that was not covered before. Let's see, Jesse, you having a chance to go first. Let's have you go first.
It was another status quo year for Jasco Games. Dates got pushed back or changed or whatever. I'm going to say this. I grade harshly. I always will grade harshly. If you get a B with, I'm one of those. I'm like a professor. If you get a C with me, you got it. You could get an A with someone else. I gave a D.
Ooh. Jasco got a double D from Jesse.
Yeah. Status quo year. There's some positives. They pulled printing stateside. And those printer changes, like that's some growing pains here. It's getting stuff. Once again, I'm going to point towards OP. Well, I've knocked the dead horse with that one. I don't like that a lot of the information I've gotten lately from Jasco has been secondhand. It feels like the world's date, no PTC date yet for next year. Like, I'd like to start planning my year out and like knowing what I can do with my year. I need to know. I've already planned to go to the Rochester 1K in St. Louis because I had that date already. It's there. It's for us. I think this is going to be probably our biggest IP year. We have 3 intellectual properties that are going to get sets that are currently listed for sets this year: Street Fighter, Cowboy Bebop, Mortal Kombat. And if they do not stick to release dates and get these sets out, all 3 of these sets out on time, it's going to be so much harder to get anybody into this game. when you can't get like that's the biggest thing. I need a bill. I need consistency from Jasco again. I really want that. I believe they can do it. I'm not sure what the options are out there. If they need more people, make the decision to get the right people involved. Do what they need to do. But I know they can do it. I want to see the effort in place.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go second, gentlemen. And my assessment of what happened for Jasco Games this year, part of the reason why I wore my Buffalo Bills shirt tonight, is this felt like a season of Buffalo Bills football. We have, on the Jasco Games team, we have two fantastic players. Just like Buffalo has T-Mobile and Shady McCoy, or more appropriately, Kyle Williams, my favorite defensive tackle. Jasco Games has two great players. Shane and Jason are great players. But, we know that a running back can't win a season on his feet by himself. And I think that's where they're running into when it comes to production execution is Shane and Jason work damn hard. And if anybody tells me that they're lazy, they're not doing what they're supposed to, I'm going to tell them to go take a jump.
Yeah,
Shane and Jason work their asses off every single day. They got a warehouse manager, Ronald. He works his ass off every day. The people there are trying really hard. But, when the team doesn't come together, if the team's not doing all the right things at the right time, or they don't have enough good players in place, the team's going to fail. And talking about production and execution, we had 4 release dates announced this year. We had 3 sets. Everything missed. Indians didn't come out on time. Battle for Power came out a few weeks later than they expected. And Blood Omen also came out late. So things not coming out on time is bad. It's better than nothing at all, though. Believe me. Mm-hmm. I mean, compared to 2015, I would have given 2015 an F. With only 2 sets back-to-back, and that was it. That's an F. This year, it was an average year. They went 8-8. They got the 3 sets out this year, but they were all late. Battle for Power released more or less on time, and I think the card quality was significantly improved. Packs were easier to open, which had been a problem with some previous sets. The foiling came out really sharp. It looks good.
We've certainly come a long way from the Tides of Vengeance card stock issues.
Yeah. So card quality significantly improved. That's really good in production. Other projects that Jasco's working on, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was supposed to come out for Halloween. There's still no general release date for that. Top Gun, they had demoed at Gen Con of 2015. Still not out yet. Blood Omen released. What's that, Kevin Broberg?
I just mouthed what I can't believe Top Gun's still not available for purchase.
Blood Omen, I think, released huge numbers. The sales numbers were unbelievable for Blood Omen. The sales numbers were really good for Battle for Power. So people are still interested in UFS. So that was really good. I think it was a bad decision to not do a full spoiler for Blood Omen. I think that hurt stores trying to forecast what they should bring in. I know it did for me. Because people didn't buy until after the pre-release because they didn't know if the set was going to be any good. Because less than half the set was spoiled. So, overall, at the end, I gave Jasco another C- here. It was good enough to pass, but the credit doesn't transfer. And they need these next 3 sets to come out in 2017. And I think it's going to be a turning point, but they've got to make it happen. They've got to get the right players in place. And that's all I got to say.
Yeah.
All right, now I'll wrap us up. So on this miscellaneous category, I had them at a D, but I remembered a silver lining. I could only think of kind of disappointments and negative things that had occurred, and I remembered one light at the end of the tunnel. That was something that Jasco Games really impressed me with. So I'll save that one to the end. I'll keep you in suspense. Late releases are terrible. I hate late releases. This year we had late releases that were weeks late instead of months late instead of years late, We didn't have a situation like we had with the Mega Man tins or with,
Rise of the Masters.
Indies, Rise of the Masters. Yeah, these were sets that were delayed catastrophically. These sets were just, it was a late. It was a late homework assignment. It wasn't a, yeah, I'm just gonna drop the class and try again next semester homework assignment. This school analogy is spot on, by the way. Kind of correlated with that, the scheduling snafus, several I think I went to 2 events this year that got completely screwed by set releases, which is pretty remarkable for a year with 3 set releases. The 2K and the Amsterdam PDC just had such terrible attendance, and they had you could buy new cards at these events, and that's just such a stupid juxtaposition of a great thing and a complete rejection of that thing by the UFS community. You have such a good opportunity to have a great event, and I remember the Rochester PTC at the start of summer of 2015 with Rise of the Masters. Everyone was so excited to be there. Everyone had all these new cards. No one knew what they were doing. It was great. Not so much when you're playing with the same old shit, but you have the new shit just down the tunnel.
Yep.
Cowboy Bebop, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter are going to be amazing next year. This sounds like what I heard in 2015 again.
It's like cheering for Buffalo. Rex Ryan says we'll make the playoffs next year.
And speaking of next year, we don't know anything about next year yet. There's no official news on it. It's a complete.
Like at this point, we need to stay
mark.
in a game for next year. At this point, it's just like, guys, we kind of need to know what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that some of this is easily remediable. Some of this is just you gotta actually execute on what you say you're gonna do. You gotta actually get your shit done. You gotta do your homework, and some of it is kind of a bigger, like, how do you communicate as a company? How do you talk to your players? How do you tell them what they need to know? How do you keep them in the loop? And that's a big problem. In general, it's very difficult. And I know I've seen glimpses of hope with, I think there were some really well written documents like the state of the game. However many months ago, we got one of those last around the time of Indians release. There was an excellent state of the game with Indians. But as far as the redeeming factor goes, the thing that I remember that bumped us from a questionably passing, depending on where we're talking about, D, bumped it up to a okay, sure, C. I really like the new card, the new borders, the new card designs, the improvement from the kind of opaque just circles block zone to the shield block zone to kind of help give you a skeuomorphic aid to help demo to new players, help show them how cards work, and help them understand what's going on. The bigger art, the new... I like it.
I think this is one of those things I never really thought deeply about, and I will agree with you on that, Kevin, because we didn't do a set review. I didn't really have a real way... I didn't stare at cards long enough. Like, man, you know what? Like, and I've only played in one tournament with these cards so far. And I'm like, so it's kind of like, I didn't realize, and you look at it, and you're like, you play the new cards from Blood Omen against the old cards, you're just like, man, these cards...
They're sharp.
They're sharp.
Mix and match your Revokes or your Templars or your Outer Leagues. You will blow you away how they look next to each other.
It sure makes sideboarding easier.
But strategically, guys, just please don't mix and match your cards. It gives free information away to your opponents. That's your little bit of strategy advice for the day. Don't do that. It's a bad idea.
All right, gentlemen. This wasn't on the schedule initially, but I wanted you guys to come up with some final thoughts for 2017. And I think I'm going to go first. 2017 needs to be a turning point. We need to turn a corner here. Jasco Games came and saved our game in 2010, and all 3 of us were there. We remember when Fantasy Flight kicked us to the curb after selling out their warehouse and left us to die.
All I remember from that year, I remember going to Gen Con, and we got our Gen Con bags, and there was an Atali promo in that bag. And I'm like, what's going on? I thought we were dead. And like I knew about Jasco somebody had bought the game rights.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, cool, somebody's gonna take this and bring it in another direction. And then when you look on the back, like, this is still the Universal Fighting System. Okay. And then it made me really angry because I had sold my collection for pennies on the dollar.
So
I should have sold not my standard stuff.
in 2010 in August, I got to meet a very scatterbrained looking guy with short curly hair named Jason. And he was very, very passionate about UFS. And, I think, he came along, he saved our game that we all love very much. And since then, it's been a struggle. And, I think the folks who are still around, even though we give them a lot of shit, we also really care about the game. And we also really want them to be very successful. Mm-hmm. We struggled after, Red Horizon was delayed. They put some goodies in our boxes, and I was pretty happy about that. I remember the Great Flood of 2011 when we lost most of Tides of Vengeance, the Great South Point Flood. Kevin, do you remember that?
Yeah. I mean, I was super laid back. I don't really remember asking questions about it, but I remember going from getting all the cards to getting just started X for 6 months.
We stuck around with that, and the guys busted their asses. They persevered through that. I remember waiting for King of Fighters to come out. We shotgunned 3 sets out. I remember selling out of Neomax just as the tins were supposed to come in, and things got a little scary there for a little bit. We picked up a bunch of licenses, and 2015 was supposed to be really exciting. They announced at Gen Con. I remember Miles Tyler standing on the chair after the announcement in the Funimation panel that Cowboy Bebop was coming to UFS, Mortal Kombat was coming to UFS, and Street Fighter was coming back. And then, they were doing the Mega Man board game Kickstarter. I think they learned a lot of hard lessons there about overpromising and not being able to deliver. And, I think with the Pixel Tactics Kickstarter that just finished, you could tell they learned some lessons. And I think 2017 is the year where we turn the corner. I really do. And, as a Bills fan, it's easy to convince myself of this. I've been doing it for the last 17 years. But, there are good people working really hard every single day to make UFS great. And I think with these sets coming out, if they release, and they've got to release this year, I don't think we can go another year without these licenses. And UFS explodes like I think it's going to, then it's going to make it easier for them to get the other team members in place so we can tackle the low-hanging fruit, like no event days, no organized play support promos, not knowing what the schedule is for the next year, not having streaming and commentary on the largest stage of UFS for the year. And I think this year is when we turn the corner finally. That's my final thoughts on 2016 going into 2017. Sorry, I was a little long-winded, gentlemen.
No, that's fine.
I think you said it great, man. I can't think of anything to add.
Anything for you to add, Mr. Savini?
Yeah, I'm ready for Jasco. I'm ready for the turn the corner year. I'm fine. I'm happy that we got 3 sets out this year. I mean, that's a really good thing. I like that we tested a new release style with the Turbo Deck set release for World of Indies. And I really want them to just get these next sets out there and get the in-demand IPs out to the masses. Like I said, I'm a harsh critic, but you know what? I'm still a devoted person to this game, and I really hope we have a great year. I'm going to keep playing because you want to know why? I've been to the finals dance for cardboard twice so far for teams. I want my cardboard this year. And me and Jeffrey Kahn and X are getting said cardboard. That is my plan.
So, I think this is going to wrap up our year in review. We appreciate everybody sticking around. I know we ran a little bit over. Last thing we always do at the end of the show, upcoming events. We have the World Championship coming up at Level Up Expo, May 19th and 20th. That sounds right?
I know, 12 to the 14th.
Oh, 12 through 14th. I'm so sorry about that.
Yep.
And then
start looking at flights, guys. We hope to all see you there.
And don't forget, in April is the Rochester 1K in St. Louis. That's the April 8th and 9th. Get your plane tickets together for that. I want to bring that series back and hopefully have a really good turnout so we can do multiple cash events per year. I'm really love to make that happen again.
Yeah, going in the other direction, just real quick, that St. Louis event will be the cap of the Midwest Championship Series, which starts out at Top Cut Comics in Rockford on the 28th of January, continues on the 18th of February in Indianapolis, and then there's another one that isn't quite on my calendar on Facebook that's coming up sometime in March. And before that one, though, there's the Atlanta Pro Tour, the 25th and the 26th in Atlanta.
Allegedly.
At the Lab.
Allegedly.
Well, there's going to be an event there. Whether or not it's a Pro Tour is anyone's guess. But
so,
community organization.
From all of us here at Top Deck Heroes, we hope you guys had a great holiday, a great Christmas, and we wish everyone a happy New Year. And we'll see you guys after the holiday. Good night.
Good night.